Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue with Volume 5, Episode 7 of my Belladonna era scrapbook. I had the last video some really cool pictures of Stevie with Robin and some with Mary Tory, so I really hope you saw that one and enjoyed it. This one, still some cool stuff coming up here, but we're going to start with a pretty basic, some really cool black and white 11 by 14s that I've had. These are ones that I mentioned. I think I've shown a couple that are kind of the sepia or black and white that just, I don't know where they came from. They're just kind of like odd. Kind of remind me of like things you get at the fair or something like that. Put a border on this one so I can't pull this one out. I think I did on the back as well. But they're no marking or anything like that. A little bit of a slicker, glossier paper. But just really great photographs. And I definitely think they're vintage. Definitely think they're from the 80s. But two really cool little photos. Right from the start. Next up, we have some pictures that if everything goes with it, well, there's all sorts of different dates here. This was a really cool picture of Stevie from a calendar that came out, and this was Stevie performing at the Compton Terrace, August 29th, 1980. So not quite with the picture, but so surely with Fleetwood Mac. But then these are pictures of Stevie again during the Belladonna tour, which, as I'd mentioned in the past, there were some I was talking about. We know of so many photos that are from the HBO special or the 4 nights there. And then these obviously stand out because I don't know if this is technically inclusive of the Belladonna tour or if this is the Heart benefit show. I think this is the tour. That's something I've never stopped to think about, actually. So it's actually something I don't know, which there's 1,000 things I don't know. And then also the things that I do think I know, I second guess. I forget words as I'm talking names. You know the drill. So tell me in the comments which this one is from. I know somebody's told me. The ticket I have up here says December 5th, 1981, Compton Terrace, which could be this date. Could be at this time. I guess in Arizona, it probably wouldn't be so cold, so she could be walking around like that in the daytime. Who knows? Here we have a little collage of some of the Belladonna stuff. Really two cute little, these are kind of like proof photos, but they're not. They're like little sample proofs, I guess is how you say it. This one came out of the Rolling Stone Readers Poll photo. I think I actually shown this one already before. This was a little cool thing in a magazine for a fan club. Later, I think I have a full page for that. This out of a magazine, which is really cute. And then just kind of some random articles. And I think this also was in Rolling Stone magazine. If you notice, I have, when I take all these photos out to show you, I have all these little rings, because when you put the scrapbook together, there's actually only 2 rings. There's a hole for a third, and I'm thinking of trying to figure out how to fix that so I can make it like a 3 ring. But oftentimes the plastic will tear. Well, it's so funny, as I've taken them apart, these freaking little O's are everywhere. They're in the house, they're on the dog, they'll get on the cat. It's funny as hell. Then they just pop off, and they're a funny little thing that they're kind of hard to find because they're kind of an old school type of stationery type thing. Stuff you didn't ask to know about. A picture of Stevie with, I think this is at the Bob Welch thing, or is this the Rock and Run? This is the Rock and Run, I'm sorry. So is this one here. Which I think is later. I think I have a lot more pictures of that later, because I think that's Wild Heart, if I'm not mistaken. So this was probably an older or a messed up page. Who knows? This was from BAM magazine in 1981, and then there's some articles about Bob Welch, Stevie with Bob Welch. This was actually 1982, but this was 1981 here. Next up, speaking of the Bob Welch, so again, this would have been 82. Now, this is kind of a weird little menagerie I have here. Somebody had sent me these, and it was really cool. So I never Xerox photos, but these were just so damn cute, especially because Mick and Chris were in there. So as you can see, these were posted online, and then I took this one just to show the record. But all the rest of these photos are things I've had over the years. But this one I just thought was so damn cute. I just really wanted to put it in there. Then this was a great 8x10 I got. And of course, after I did that, I think that this photo goes with it. I'm sure of it. I've had this photo forever, and I'm like, after I put this together, I'm like, you know what? I think this is them like going to the place. So I think I'm going to take this one out, this one of Bob, and put this here, kind of redo the page, but until such time. Then kind of a short video, actually a pretty short video. I wonder if I can finish this for you guys. I might do that because it's kind of the last part. I don't know how many people really care about it. I do, and I hope you do too, but you know. Another photo. This one I don't think goes with it. This was just kind of an odd duck out photo that I had of Chris, and I liked it, but it's kind of dark and kind of hard to make her out, sort of, but I just thought I'd put it in there. And then with this photo goes this one here. And then again, another kind of odd one out. But I just want to put Christine with these. And I don't think that I have. This one here is by Paul Canty. But I do not have information on these. I don't think that either one of these have a stamp on the back. Actually, I just put a little thing that it just says live concert photos. So I guess it does have a stamp on the back, but that's all it says. So I will wrap up this video then. Again, I'll kind of make this quick. I've shown some of these things in my little pop-up videos, but it was really hard for me to determine where the solo stuff was because, you know, Lindsay came out with a solo album, so did Mick. So I think I was just going to put it all with Belladonna because Mirage is pretty thick, and Mirage might end up needing to be 2 volumes. So, you know, just to wrap up Belladonna volume, because I have these with it, are going to be some things of Lindsay. So we're going to start off here with this picture here, which is the Rolling Stone review on Law and Order, with a peculiar caricature of Lindsay, but okay. And then this continues here. And I might have shown these. These were some really cool original Polaroids of Lindsay taken in his home, possibly by Carol Ann. It's kind of hard to see that one, but he's in the back where, you know, playing on his guitar. And this is another one here. Oh, there you go. I got to dinner or something. And I think that's it. And I think, no, it's just Law and Order. I thought maybe I'd written the dates, but no. Then the remainder of the Rolling Stone article. Then this one I know I did show on one of my pop-ups. I was really proud of this page, and I'm gonna demonstrate again how proud I am. I just think the layout looks fantastic. I just really like the paper, the color, and the tape. And this was paper I've talked about in some of my other videos. That was like a bag at like an antique store. And it's so funny because I noticed long after I did the paperwork that somewhere on the side it said Fleetwood, which was really funny. This is a cool picture out of a Japanese magazine of Lindsay in Tokyo, I think. or Japan, shouldn't say Tokyo specifically. And then this was an article out of Scene, November 25th through December 2nd, 1981, on Lindsey Buckingham's Law and Order. So again, this was a Cleveland magazine. And I have a friend who I've discussed in the past. Her mom had passed away, and her mom had a large collection, lots of articles, magazines, etc. And so these were articles that I received from her, which is why I have a lot of stuff from Cleveland, which I hold very dearly in possession, not just because I have them, but because they were her mother's, and I'm able to just kind of, continue showing them. And let's see. Yeah, another article out of that same magazine, different time though. A review on Law and Order. And then this photography, this is the photographer's name is just Elan, I think. Elan, E-L-A-N. That's all it says. And then that underneath there's a date, which is 1981. These are some really great outtakes I had of Lindsey. I don't think I've shown these before. Funny enough, when I got the box of stuff that I've talked about from Book City, there's a lot of Lindsey stuff I had, including a strip of proofs that I had, and I sold those. Terrible, terrible idea. But I think that they were proof of this session. And again, I'm trying to think, this might be, that's going to drive me nuts because I'm not sure. Anyway, I've acquired them again, but like copies of them, not the negatives themselves or the proof sheets themselves, but these are just some really cool promotional photos of Lindsey looking very baby-faced, very, he's always been kind of I don't want to say feminine because I don't want that to sound like an insult. But, I think it's a little bit of the makeup, but again, not in a negative way. But I just like him looking more Lindsey-like. I don't know. I think these are like almost softened up, if that makes any sense. I definitely prefer photos of him from Go Insane and onward. Prior to this and after this, honestly, not some of my favorite shoots of him. So this is Jim Shea. So maybe I don't think the other ones are, but it could be Jim Shea. I don't think this is the same day as these. You guys? I don't think so. Could be. So these are both by Jim. And again, promotional photos these were outtakes, so these are originals. But then these are like proof press kit photos. Now this was a really cool picture, and when I forgot a name earlier in the last video, I think I was talking about vibes the different photographers give to their subjects. And when I forgot about who I'm a really big fan of, even though Armas is my favorite, is George Hurrell. They're all my favorite. Herbert, Armas, and Hurrell are definitely my three favorites. Nothing against all the other ones. I'll find other pictures by Neil Preston. I'll be like, these are my favorites. But just each one, I don't know, there's a certain thing about photography where they just go in and just like a shoot, like like you would go with your parents and take like the family portrait or something like that. And then there's these other ones that can almost tell a story in themselves. And there's nothing wrong with the pictures where you go in, like it's almost like your family, just like headshots or something like that. But they're just a little bit more sterile. They're gorgeous. They're super professional, great lighting, great coloring and stuff like that. But some of these kind of darker images, again, just kind of give a story. And George Hurrell was notorious for that. His lighting, his black and white photography. And I think I mentioned it certainly in my records, is that he had done a whole series with Lindsey, including the cover of Law and Order. And he really wanted Lindsey to, kind of personify, oh my God, I just forgot, Ray, Jesus Christ, this happens to me all the damn time. The movie star who played Tarzan in the old silent film. So this is the cover, and then this is an outtake of that. I keep trying to say Ray Harryhausen, but that's not it. Unbelievable. Anyway, this is an original. This is a very rare, very cool photo. Hurrell's name is kind of like embossed on there, kind of like stands up if you can see it on there. Super valuable I mean, I can't believe I got my hands on it. Yeah, again, not my favorite shoot, but I've shown you some. You'll see a lot in Mirage because he went on to work with them. George Hurrell went on to work with Fleetwood Mac for Mirage, and the pictures he did of Stevie and Christine are to die for. He just really made them all to look like silver screen celebrities. Of course, they're celebrities on their own, but they just, again, had a whole different vibe. So that's a really cool photo. One of my favorites. I'm going to wrap this up with some ones. Again, I might have shown on the early ones. Going to be kind of quick on these, just, not so much about the photographs. There's a couple, but these were some really cool articles, again, acquired from that friend's mother's collection. And these were from, I guess, again, also a Plain Dealer, which was Cleveland, I think, or whatever, and then, or Ohio. And then, yeah, one of the articles was on Todd Sharp and Mick Fleetwood making the music in Ghana, which was really cool. And I was just super grateful about this article because my friend's mother, who collected everything like I would have. And it was just really neat to get this article, which again, I might have brought up in the little pop-up video where I'd shown this page. This is something that probably would have gone by the wayside for a lot of fans. And I'm just super glad to have it. See one of these random damn little things. And I'm glad it was kept, and I'm glad that I have it now preserved and in my scrapbook, because it's a really neat article on Sharp and Mick and all the work they did. And it really focuses a little bit on more of the people that Mick worked with, not just on Mick per se. So it's a really unique article. And this photo is just something that I had that I went with it. Same to be said for this one here, a really cool original shot of Mick here, but then more right up on Mick's The Visitor album. Then the rest of the crew for that. And then a little bit more, if you remember, I had shown some photos of Stevie from Tusk that I said had been found in a locker. If you go back, I highly recommend, if you haven't seen that, to go back, because there's just some really cool photos. And I think I showed 6 of them, and I said that there were 8. And I'm wrong again. There was 9, because there was those 6 that I showed. Then these 2 I'm about to show you, and then one still that I need to find that I don't think has been scrapbooked, and that is of Sharon Ceylani, Carol Ann, and some other people from Fleetwood Mac. But the picture of Sharon Ceylani is adorable, so I really got to find that and show it to you. But this additional picture was in with those other ones of Mick. Not the most flattering, but again, really cool. And who was the artist, or the Randall Hagedorn, I think is how you say his name. So this was another one by him that went with those other ones that I showed you from Tusk era. Then there's this one. But this one is by Sam Emerson. Then another article on Mick here. And then wrapping up the Belladonna scrapbook with some last remnant stuff of Mick, which was a press kit photo. And then again, just another one. Not looking his best, but great picture with him in the drum set. The box of stuff that I got from Book City had a lot of Mick Fleetwood stuff. And I'm telling you, I had so much of it signed during all the stops that Mick Fleetwood was doing his wine tour. And every time I'd go in, and I think I've said it before, but it's so funny, he'd be like, "Where did you get this photo? God, I haven't seen this." And so it was really cool. Some of these I didn't take in because maybe not the best, but you'll see a lot of them. A lot of the pictures I show in the future are all signed. So yeah, but that'll wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, throwing this in kind of did close that up. So next up will be Mirage, which I cannot wait to get into. I just freaking love Mirage era. Really, when I got into Stevie and started collecting photos, and of course she just finished Belladonna, a year before going in to do Mirage. So I really was able to get in on a lot of this Mirage Belladonna stuff, but it's really Mirage that has my heart, photography wise. And then different memories that come to me from going to see them in '87, which is why I like Ting on the Night. But I think you guys are really going to really dig all the ones that I have from Mirage. So join me next time and we'll start that volume. What will that be? Volume 6? And it'll be Mirage. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me tonight and we'll see you next time. Bye.